morning.
I want to watch the news.
Are you making headway at least?
This is the news.
Schmack-a-magab, it's time for the only news that matters. And in 2015, before Rush announced what would have been their last tour ever, the late Neil Peart gave Prague one of his most personal and revealing interviews ever, discussing himself, his passion, and his thoughts on the band's future. So they asked him if he missed touring with opening acts, because Rush didn't have no opening acts for many years. And he said, someone sent me a picture of us with UFO the other day. We got very tight with them, and they were opening for us, musically and personally. It was really a treat. It was a good decision we needed to make to go out on our own without an opening act, but I missed that part of it, I missed the socializing. Then they asked him that there was still no Rush dates confirmed yet. Alex suggested there might be. Geddy wasn't so sure. But where do you stand on touring now? He says, it's a true dilemma. There's no right answer. People say to me, are you still excited when you go out on tour? Should I be excited about leaving my family? No, and no one should. It's as simple as that. If you put aside the fantasy of it, it is what it is and it has to be done. And that's fine. And I pour my entire energy and enthusiasm into it. But of course, I'm of two minds about the whole idea. You write very lovingly about your daughter Olivia in your book. How old is she now? He says she's 5. And again, with the separation, it's heartbreak. I've been doing this for 40 years. And I can't stand missing her. And I know she can't stand missing me. It's painful and impossible to understand for her. How can a small child process that? And there's the guilt that comes with that. You feel guilty about it. Of course, I'm causing pain. Then they ask, but part of you still yearns to perform? And he says, me, Ged, and Alex all met about a month ago now. Playing was the activity that we all most wanted to do. Though we made no real decisions yet, we're all in our 60s. And we do feel that the Clockwork Angels live, we reached a prime that we are very proud of and pleased with. But that is the hardest thing so far, performing. You can fiddle around in the studio until you're done, but as far as going out there and playing, especially drumming, for me it's such an athletic undertaking. We really want to utilize that now that we still have it. There you go. Yeah, I do believe if Neil Peart wouldn't have died, Rush would have been over. I think he's had enough. And he's a perfectionist. And he felt like, he can still perform, but he felt like the time was ticking. And I gotta say, when I flew to New Orleans to see that last tour, man, Neil that night was as good as he's always been. Neil always gives a flawless performance when I see him. The guy's a perfectionist. Never a lame show, never a lame drum solo. He was just a force of nature. So was Alex and Geddy, which Alex, by the way, is criminally underrated. He's amazing. I put him up there with Geddy Lee and Neil Peart. I think he's the perfect guitar player for Rush. People, praise Neil and Geddy too, his bass player. But man, what about Alex, man? The Limelight, that solo, La Fila Strangiato, 2112, all working man. I mean, the guy's phenomenal. I don't get why he doesn't get the same praise as Geddy and Neil. There's that one clip, I forgot, I think it was one of their documentaries, where Geddy and Alex are in a restaurant, and some lady walked up and wanted Geddy's autograph. She didn't know who Alex was. She knew who Getty was. That's underrated, man. And it is kind of odd when he talked about when he was touring with UFO, how they got along and they're great friends. I guess. But Getty, or it was either Getty or Alex, I think it was Getty, said that UFO was making fun of them. You know, about dine on honeydew and drink the milk of paradise. They would goof on him about that. You know, that's the lyrics from Xanadu. Which are awesome lyrics, man. I love that. Dining with honeydew and drink the milk of paradise. I don't know, man. I've heard far cheesier than that. Way more cheesier than that. But it's also not the norm to write about dining on honeydew and drink the milk of paradise. It's not really something bands do. But Rush did it, and Rush did it well. So when they were announcing, hey, this may be the last tour, I believed it. I was like, I'm flying to New Orleans. They did play Orlando, but I never met my co-host of the Rock and Metal Combat Podcast, Ian Wiley, who lives in New Orleans. And I told him, dude, I'm going to fly up and I'm going to hang out with you a couple days and we're going to go see Rush. You know, and that's how that happened. And yeah, it was a great show. It was a fantastic show, man. And I'm glad I went. I love me some Rush, man. That last show, it was, they played like, you know, they played stuff from Clockwork Angel, their last album, all the way down to the first album. And even before the first album, they played this song called Garden Road, which was a very early song. But man, it was cool watching them doing, you know, Working Man. I always see them do Working Man. But What You Doing, Anthem, Lakeside Park. Oh, that was very welcome seeing that. It was awesome. It was an amazing show. Neil played as good as ever, but you know what? Neil saw the time ticking, so he saw, you know what? I'm not going to go out there and give anybody out there less than 100%. So this is the last tour. And I believe if he would have lived, he would have stayed on that course because, you know, obviously he missed his daughter. And he probably, you know, after that tour, he probably would have stayed with his daughter until she was 18. And screw it, I'll do like some books and some public appearances and stuff like that. But no, I can't do the tour anymore. And it really pissed Geddy Lee off. And Alex, who was suffering from tendonitis, still wanted to go out there and tour. Yeah, it was a very, very special year, 2015, because on May 22nd, 2015 was the last time I saw Rush. Last time I saw Neil Peart alive. And then you fast forward several months later, on September 15, 2015, I saw Van Halen for the last time. That was their last tour with Eddie. And that was the last time I saw Eddie alive. And it's wild, you know, that 5 years later, Neil Peart died and then Eddie died several months later. And, you know, the weird thing about that, too, is that Neil Peart and Eddie Van Halen both died in the same hospital. St. John's Hospital in Santa Monica, California. Nancy Peart Burkholder, one of Rush's drummers, Neil Peart's two sisters, has shared her memories of her brother's passing. In a conversation with podcaster Kelly Barnett, Burkholder recalls how family members had to keep the news of her brother's death a secret for those 3 days until the official announcement was made via Rush's website and social media. Yeah, we had 3.5 years to prepare, so we knew it was coming, she says. And then once it happened, we had this week of radio silence where we couldn't tell anybody. And then I think we had 10 minutes notice before it was going live to the world. So we had 10 minutes to tell everybody that we hadn't told them in 3.5 years that, sorry we lied, everything was not okay. So yeah, it was really hard. You know, that week was the hardest week that we went through because we knew we couldn't share it. Now, man, seriously, if they would have told me that, look, I'm sorry I didn't tell you, and I was close and stuff, I'd understand. Yeah, because it's a big deal. It's Neil Peart, and the last years of his life, he didn't have to deal with, the public, which, it would have been nice for him to hear all this stuff, but I don't think Neil is the kind of guy that would want that, so I'm glad that he, while he was dying with his affliction, he didn't have that extra baggage hanging over him. So, hey, man, he died respectfully, And I know Alex and Getty knew about it, too, and they kept their silence, which is very commendable. But then again, they're Canadian. I mean, Canadian people are awesome. If you're a dick in Canada, you go to jail for life. That shit don't fly there. All nice people, and this proves it. Anyway, what do you all think, man? Leave it in the comments below. You miss Neil Peart, man? I do. I'm sorry, Neil Peart. That's how you pronounce it. Neil Peart. I do. I miss Rush. I would always go see Rush. But, hey, I got my memories, and I'm happy that Neil didn't have to deal with public in the last few years of his life. So leave it in the comments below what you all feel, and please subscribe to my channel if you haven't. Ring that little notification bell. I totally would appreciate that. And also, like the video. It'd be awesome for the YouTube algorithms. So stay frosty. Listen to Black Sabbath and smack 'em a gob.
Farewell and adieu to you fair Spanish ladies.
Farewell and adieu, you ladies of Spain, for we've received orders for to sail back to Boston, and so never more shall we see you again.